All right, everybody. We're going to do just kind of a mixed bag tonight for Rest and Restore Happier Hour. You'll want just basic stuff for your comfort, whatever you've got handy. Blocks, bolsters, blankets, a little extra cushion perhaps. And we're going to start, and I'm going to play some soft music. So if it's too loud, let me know right away and I will adjust it. So we're actually going to start our practice tonight seated, either on your blocks, bolster. If you like to sit with your legs crossed, that's fine. But if you would like to sit another way, that's totally fine too. Sit in a position where you feel like your spine is really well supported. If you need to unmute yourself at any time to ask me a question, please feel free to do that. And it's kind of windy here in Scottsdale right now, so it's possible you'll be picking up my wind chimes at times too. Just wanted to give you fair warning about that. Once you arrive in your seat, drop your eyes closed or pick a spot out in front of you to gaze on. It could be on the floor or maybe a picture on your wall. Something that's not going to move around. Put a gentle seal between your lips and move your breath through your nose. Let's think of a landscape for a moment. Really rugged mountain range with extremely high peaks and really deep valleys, deep canyons. There's an abrupt change in altitude between the two. It's very extreme. Now you can visualize really smooth and soft rolling hills. Very little change in altitude, more gentle, gradual changes. The valleys are soft, and the peaks are more rounded. And we're going to try to make our breath mimic the rolling hills rather than the high peaks and the deep canyons. So the breath can still be full-bodied and deep, but there's gradual changes, peaking to that full inhale real slowly, and then being real patient with that exhale, traveling down to the valley nice and slow. Let's take about 3 to 5 more slow breaths. Your slow and my slow might be different. It's very subjective. So find your version of slow, especially your exhale. Let's begin our gentle movement practice. So this is almost going to feel like a really gentle flow. We're not going to do a whole lot of really long holds in deep poses, so it's not going to be like a yin practice, but it's also not flow yoga. So think of kind of a hybrid between a yin and a soft flow. Let's set the fingertips on our shoulders, like little creature hands with your palms lifted and cupped. And then we'll just start to draw some circles, some small ones to start with the elbows, allowing the shoulders to move as much or as little as they want to right now. After a time, maybe 5 to 10 cycles with the circumference of the circle, we're going to start to increase the size of that circle. So now there's even more movement in the shoulder blades and in the actual shoulder joint. And as that circle gets bigger, can you slow it down a little bit? Let's think of unrushed movement today. After a time, you're going to make that circle even bigger and even more patient. The bigger the circle, the slower the revolution. And then we're going to do another set of these and go the other way, but we're just going to let the shoulders rest briefly. Hands can just drop down into your lap. Eyes could be open or closed, and we're breathing. Your best rhythm. If you have your legs crossed and you wanted to switch which leg is in front, you could do that now. Otherwise, just stay as you are. And then we'll come back to fingertips touching the shoulders, palms raised up. And if you don't remember which way you went, just start and maybe you can recall. We're going to start small again. And if you can't remember, don't worry about it. Just roll your shoulders. A little bit bigger now. Let's start to introduce just a little bit of spinal movement as we roll the arms like this. So whatever's intuitive to you. I like to kind of flex my spine when my elbows pull forward, and then arch my back into a back bend as my arms go back. Let's make a little bit bigger circle. These last couple revolutions, really slow. Final set. And then just let the arms hang again. Rest your hands and fingers. Take a pause. Let's just do a little bit more with the spine and the shoulders combined. So it's going to be a series of side bends and twists, and we're going to try to get a rhythm going with our breathing. Pretty basic stuff. As you inhale, your arms can either come out or out and up. As you exhale, set your right fingers or palm down and reach your left arm up and over, heavy through your left hip. Inhale back through the middle, and then side bend the other direction. Now we'll come back through the middle, take an in-breath. Exhale, twist to the right. Left arm can sweep forward, or right arm back. Your hands can touch something, but they can also just float in space. Inhale, pivot back to facing forward, and then exhale, gentle twist over to your left. Let's do those 4 movements again with your own breath. We'll start with the side stretching. You can mix it up. You can go to the left first. Stay connected to an even base at your pelvis. Nice little rib stretch. Let's begin with the twists. Try to keep your front rib cage buttoned up. Second side twist. And then we have one more set, just like that. Maybe the breath is even slower this time. And we imagine we're traveling in slow motion. So there's no rush to get to your destination. Take the whole inhale to transition and the whole exhale to complete the movement. Movement pace is set by the breath pace. Finishing up your twists. Good. And then release out of that, come to your neutral. We're going to change our leg position here. And if you have socks on, let's go ahead and take the socks off for just a moment. Take your legs out in front of you and send your right leg all the way to the ground just to relax and open up your knee a little bit. And then we're going to work on just a little manipulation with the toes. So we're not going to do any active work here. This is going to be all self-supporting. Split your big toe away from your other 4 toes, front to back a few times. Stretching through that webbing. And then you'll take the second toe and the big toe together and split from the other 3 a couple times. And then join that third toe along with the first 2. Split the little 2 toes off to their own. And then we have the pinky moving independently from the other 4. Just a couple splits. And then switch legs, same thing. Moving along to toes 1 and 2 together. And then the first 3 toes together. And then the pinky moving independently from the other 4. Okay, so your next stop is going to be our 90-90 seat. And this is where a blanket or a towel could help you underneath this lead leg. So your right leg is going to come out in front of you. And let's try to get our right shin parallel towards the front side of the mat, so the short edge of your mat. And maybe your right thigh then is parallel to the long side of your mat. And then the same thing goes for the left, but it's just the opposite. The left thigh bone will be parallel to the short edge of your mat, and then your shin is going to align with the side edge of your mat. Now, if having the knees open to 90 degrees just doesn't feel great, you could actually close your knees a little bit and pull your heels tighter into your body. Sometimes that feels better. But the other thing that can help is to lift up on your right seat and put your blanket underneath that right hip. And then we're going to do a little upper body mobilization with this one. So lean yourself off to the right just slightly and keep your right hand on the ground. Take your left arm out in front of you. Same direction as your toes. As you inhale, create rotation open to the left towards your trailing leg. And then as you exhale, reach across in the same direction as your right knee and even beyond that. And then you're just going to find a pace here. Inhale to open, rotation to the left, and exhale, rotation towards the right. And as you move that upper body, let's try to get super stable in the legs and even into the feet. So you are rooting down through the legs. Let's do 3 more breaths like that. Follow your inhales to open. Exhales are guiding you to twist the other direction. On our final repetition, you're going to inhale the same way we've been inhaling. But then as you exhale, you're going to reach and hinge forward. So reach your left arm as far as it'll go. Your right hand is still supporting you however you want. Get as long as you can from your left hip through your left fingertips. And then you're going to use your blocks or your bolster to create a resting place for your arms and or your head. Now you could maintain that little twist over your right leg, or you could square off your chest towards your right shin. It's just a little different sensation in the hip and in the spine. So you choose whichever one feels better for you. And then you can just get cozy and take it easy and breathe. Let's try to remove ourselves from this shape ultra slowly and support yourself with your hands and your arms. Almost like you're doing a press back or a push up. And then you can set aside your props for a moment and sweep your legs out in front of you just for a little bit. And a couple options here. You could kind of just sit up and gently pound your legs towards your mat, or you could lean back with wide feet and let your legs windshield wiper, nice and slow. Slow and intentional, rather than a flip-flop side to side. I forgot to tell you that if you were wearing socks earlier, you're welcome to put those back on now. Now that we're done playing with our toes. All right, let's situate the legs again to that pinwheel pose. The left leg is going to be forward now. Left leg forward, 90 degrees about in the hip and knee as far as flexion goes, and about the same with the right leg. Make sure everything feels right. You can shim underneath your left hip if you feel like you need that extra support. And then a little lean to the left, just to give this right hip some space. You are going to try to maintain a pretty upright spine for the most part, and then allow for that rib cage rotation as we follow the hand. Inhale, open right. Exhale, we cross. Cross and reach. You can reach that right arm a little bit further to feel just a slight stretch on the back side of like your lats. And then set your own best pace. If you're like me, your exhale might actually be a little longer than your in-breath. So that means that second movement is also going to take a little longer to achieve. And you can think in terms of one big long transition rather than two distinct positions, if that makes sense. We're going to do one more after this one. And as you start to twist towards your left, reach a little bit further and start to hinge your body forward any amount. And here you can utilize any of the tools at your disposal or just hold your arms and find either a straight forward bend over your shin or a slightly angled forward bend diagonally over to the left. Adjust until you feel satisfied, and then try to be effortless for a little bit. Think about how your foundation of your legs and your arms and hands can help guide you out of the fold and rise up nice and slow. Unrushed. And then same choices as before. You can just kind of pound out your legs, or you could take the wipers back and forth again. And as you take your wipers, go ahead and let the pelvis lift and twist a little bit. As always, working towards your edge without stepping beyond it, staying in the comfort zone for now. Our next stop is going to be dragon lunges, and we're going to do just a light resistance stretch with this set. So you may want your blocks, and you may want something underneath your trailing leg knee if your shins or knees are sensitive to weight. We'll start with the blocks kind of towards the left side if you're using them, so that you can get your right leg outside of the frame of your hands. And then you get to decide here how far back you want that left knee to go. It's totally fine to be in more of a stacked position because we're really going to be focused mostly on this front leg. But if you like that little extra in the front of the hip, try to just back off of your max a little bit. And then the back toes, they could be tucked under for extra support or stretch in your foot, or you could root down through the top of your foot. And we're going to play around with adduction and abduction, and even a little bit of rotation externally. So it's going to look like this. As you inhale, pull your leg away from your body. You can rock to the edge of your foot, or you can keep your foot planted and let your ankle turn a little bit. And then your exhale breath, you're going to squeeze your leg back into your arm and resist that inward pressure with your arm pressing out into your leg. That's it. Inhale, your right leg opens just like the wing on a dragon. And then exhale, we give it a nice squeeze. Working on activating the outside of the hip as we spiral open. Inner thigh gets a stretch then. And then as you exhale, squeeze your leg into you. You might feel the inner thigh muscles fire up. And you can keep this pretty low level. And take a few more breaths, moving that right leg back and forth. And then I'm going to give you two choices for the next one, and they're actually completely different. So the first option would be to stay in this base position. Bend your back knee, rotate open, and possibly hold your left foot with your right hand. So this is going to be a little bit more energetic. It's going to give you a little bit more of a spine twist and maybe a quad stretch. The alternative would be some sort of a half splits. So if you like your hips high, you could use your yoga blocks. If you like your hips low, you could sit 1 or 2 blocks underneath your right hip, and then that could lead you into a forward stretch. Now we're going to be here for about 2 minutes, so theoretically you could do a little bit of both. Ask yourself how your props could support you, given the choice that you've made. And remembering that you've made a choice, so you can change your mind at any time. You're in charge. If you're in that dragon twist, notice how the breath sensation might be a little different as you're revolving the spine. And if you're in that forward folding half splits, can you try to seek out a little bit more back body, back rib expansion with your inhales? For those of you that are in the half splits fold, let's rise up slow, rebend our knee. Send your hips back up, and we'll all meet in this little short lunge for just a second. Plant your hands back down so that you can support yourself across your shoulders, and then send that right leg back. And the right leg can just move around a little bit, or you can just kind of stretch back on it. You could even pull your left knee forward a little bit and send the right leg back at the same time. Modified splits. Do what you need to do to kind of work out any stiffness that you might feel after that 2 minutes. And then we'll switch sides. We've got the dragon lunge, wing squeezes on the left leg. The stride on this one might look different than your first side. So make sure it's right for you. Some level of comfort here as we start to work the left hip. And then you could keep the breath like we had it. You could inhale to open and exhale to squeeze, or you could reverse it and see how that goes for you. Back toes tucked or untucked, and you're just going to proceed. One final wing. Inhale, exhale. Take your time. After that final squeeze in, you can add in your rotation and quad stretch, or you can resituate yourself for that half splits version of your choice. Maybe the hips stay up, or you can scoot it back and sit back on that block. Any amount of forward fold in those half splits, your body will let you know when it's enough. Your breath like rolling hills. Smooth. Maybe even kind of subtle at this point. So if you feel like you're really having to output effort to make your breath really long and full, just let your breath find its way on its own. Take your time reversing out of that position. Half splits, let's rebend that front leg. Come back to a short lunge. Set your hands, and then let's remobilize left hip. Maybe even the ankle wants to wiggle a little bit, especially if you were sitting back on that foot. Now you're going to take all the time that you need to build yourself your Yoga Nidra resting space. That could mean closing any doors that are still open in your house to other areas, shutting down your lights, or if you have an eye cover, that could be really useful. Yoga Nidra is traditionally practiced on your back like Shavasana, but if that's not comfortable for you, definitely sort it out. And if you tend to get a little creaky in your low back when you lay flat, it's nice to have something underneath your legs. I like it a little higher, closer to my pelvis. Some people like that object underneath their knees. So I'll give you a little bit here to organize all of that. If you have an extra blanket, you could cover yourself up or put your sweatshirt and hood on if it's chilly where you are. And just in case there's anybody in class tonight that has never done Yoga Nidra, it's basically a body resting practice. And in Yoga Nidra, our aim is to get the body super relaxed, but keep the mind gently aware and awake. And there's going to be times where your consciousness might dip kind of up and down. Sometimes you might feel very aware, and other times you might feel like you're slipping to sleep. If you fall asleep, it's fine, but do try to stay connected to the sound of my voice throughout the practice. And you'll also try to stay pretty still, if possible. But if at any time your comfort level is not where you want it, make changes. Invite your whole body to give up any effort that's remaining. Even just that little effort to get situated. See if you can get some idea of your heart rate. You don't have to count anything, just notice it. Follow your breath in and out of your body. Some people find it helpful to take a soft but audible sigh as an exhale. And then try not to fuss with your breath for a little bit. Just let it go. During the practice, I'll ask you to devote your attention to different areas on your body, and the only work for you there is to just imagine that body part, and maybe to yourself you also repeat the name of that body part. You could also visualize a small point of light in the area of your attention. In this practice, we also invite in an intention. And this is a little bit different than a wish or a hope. This is a present time statement that we make, a way that we want to be or feel. And we'll say it in the present tense. Something like, I am kind. I am valuable. I am relaxed. I am whole. Hear that statement, whatever it is, hear that in your own voice on the inside and repeat it a few times. Make it powerful. And then you can just let that go. Devote all of your attention to your right thumb. Now your index finger, middle finger, right ring finger, pinky finger, right hand, the palm of your right hand, the back of your right hand, wrist sensation. Feel your right elbow. Now fully relax your right shoulder. Move your attention to the center of your throat. And feel your whole right arm resting. Guide your awareness to your left thumb. Index finger, middle finger, left ring finger, pinky finger, left hand. Sense your left palm and feel into the back of your left hand. Wrist, left elbow, left shoulder, travel to your throat with your attention. And feel your left arm as a whole, a bit heavier than before. And send your awareness now to the first toe on your right foot, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe. Feel the sole of your right foot, the top of your right foot, right ankle, knee, right hip. Feel the right side of your pelvis. Feel the whole of your right leg and foot, effortless. Send your awareness to the first toe on your left foot, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe on your left foot. Sense the sole of your foot. And now the top. Left ankle, knee, left hip, left side of your pelvis relaxed. Sensation of your left leg as a whole. Take your attention to the middle of your pelvis. Feel into the space around your navel, your abdomen. Right ribs. Left ribs. Right side of your chest. Left side of your chest. And center your awareness now at the middle of your chest. Centered between your sternum and your shoulder blades. Pausing there, sense a light and feel its warmth from the inside out. This light is like your awareness. If there's any areas of your body that could use a little healing or extra support today, imagine you could share that light from the center of your chest to anywhere in your body that you want it to go. Travel your awareness back to the center of your chest and move to your throat once again. Guide your attention to your right eye, your left eye, both eyes together. Now sense the space at the center of your forehead. Hold your attention there and feel your whole body relaxed. Deep rest. Whole body awareness. Bring your awareness to your heels on the back side. And feel the weight of your legs. No effort at all. Notice the ease around your pelvis in the front. And then take your attention to your backside, your seat. Give your glutes an inner squeeze. And then let them relax again. Twice more. Contract the muscles of your seat and then relax. And then let's see if we can move each individual finger independent from its neighbor. And begin to move your toes back and forth between extension and flexion. Find some soft mobilization at your wrist and bend your elbows. Spin your ankles a few times, clockwise and counterclockwise. And then bend your knees and set your feet. And from here, just find your own rhythm of movement, exploring some twisting, some rotation in your thighs. Maybe turning your head a little bit. And then you might like to roll onto your side, or first you might like to curl up into a cannonball and create some soft rocks from side to side. Before you make any other big changes, let's come back to that intention, that seed that you planted. Recite it back to yourself a handful of times again. Make it very robust and potent. That intention will stay with you as long as you need it or want it. Take your time arriving up to a seated pose or kneeling pose. Potentially you would raise your hips up and support yourself with a block or a bolster, just to provide a little bit more support for your spine above. And we'll try to create a little bit of space vertically along that channel of the core and the spine, rooting down at the same time, sending a rebounding wave upwards. Allow the shoulders to be free. And then notice your breath again. Rolling soft waves. Gentle hills. Smooth peaks and soft valleys. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I'm willing to hang out for just a moment or two in the Zoom chat to say hello, but I understand if you have to go as our 60 minutes has expired. Feel free to drop me a note and ask any questions that you might have. Until next time, please take care of yourselves. Namaste.